So these are the basic credit types. We kind of talked about these. These are what's eligible. The ones that you will see the most of, 48 classes of 48 solar storage. BESS is, which is a battery enhanced storage system, is very popular right now for a lot of utilities and utility buyers, is the highest volume. Again, 45X is really super interesting right now. 45Z, super interesting right now. 45Qs are common. And then, you start to see kind of the more specialized ones later on. I've seen nuclear, but I have not actually closed nuclear. But it, again, very rare. Some of those are pretty rare. So if you have been sleeping, they passed the OB3, which is the One Big Beautiful Bill. It had some very significant changes to the way that credits work in the marketplace. Anything started before 2025 is grandfathered on the old 45-48 rules. 25 plus has to use tech neutral 48Y or 48E. And then anything needs to be placed in construction before July of this year or placed in service by December 31st. FEOC, which is Foreign Entity of Control, means the four sort of enemy nations can't have any association with those. You have Russia, Iran, and North Korea. Those kind of aren't really troublemakers in this. You're not going to see those guys on very many deals. But China is on the list, and a lot of deals have either Chinese-made components, or they have Chinese partnerships, or there's some piece that's associated with that. You really need to be careful about that. They can really mess up your supply chain. And you really need to focus on that FEOC reporting. They're not allowed to receive the credit in any way. Again, I'm not a lawyer, so this is a very sensitive area and very important, especially on larger projects. This includes domestic content partners. And so where that's important is, and where this, I think, is something to be concerned about at least, is a lot of Chinese manufacturers, in order to take advantage of the domestic content push and to not be charged tariffs, have really kind of opened up plants in America. And so it's important to understand the chain of ownership control, not just the equity portion, but the portion of equity that the equity owner controls. And so that can impact it, especially in the domestic market. EV credits are terminated. Again, that's kind of going into that. June of 30 is the last for EV charging. And then residential credits, 25C and 25D have been eliminated. A lot of solar players have started using things like prepaid leases, prepaid PPAs, blah, blah, blah. Again, the IRS is not opined on those. So caveat emptor on those types of credits. Common doc requirements, I won't go into detail on this, but the most important one of this is from the IRS's standpoint for the case of energy properties is supporting credit documentations for the 5-point place in service test, which for the case of something like solar is a place in service letter from utility or countersigned interconnection agreement. And then the cost seg and or PWA documentation, again, those are super important. Be aware, I won't go into detail on this, but be aware that different types of credits have different documentation requirements. For carbon capture, you might have the class permitting, MRV, which is carbon leakage documentation. You could have flood fill analysis. You can have a lot. For clean fuel, you have to have LCAs, and there's computations and rules for that, as well as feedstock requirements. And then, you have FEOC requirements for 45Xs. So I think that's misspelled there. And interconnection agreements, et cetera. So PWA records. Clean fuel production credits are great. Again, 25 to 450 million. This is a lot of players, especially in the agriculture business. This is going to be big. Advanced manufacturing, also very big as people move production over here to the United States for various systems components. They go into this. And then, like I said, 25D now becoming 48E. Be careful with this. The reality is the clawback's very small. But again, what you're seeing is, a lot of funders have paused and had issues.